This is Bill Osborne, and welcome to On the Agenda. Spring is here, and that means warmer temperatures, a very delightful time of year for outside activities. And my guests today certainly are glad to have springtime here, and they're looking forward to a lot of sunshine, dry weather, longer days, because they operate the West Pines Golf Course here in Douglasville. So I'm going to talk first with Jim Haslam, who's one of the owners of HMS Golf. And HMS has a 30-year lease agreement with the city of Douglasville for the operation of the West Pines Golf Club. Later I'll be talking with Mike Schlueter, who actually operates the facilities here in Douglasville. Jim, it's great to have you today on the agenda.
Hey, it's great to be here. It's not raining or snowing outside. I think spring's finally here, and we're really looking forward to a great golf season this year.
Right. Well, we are too. In August, it will be the start of the 4th year that I will be doing this program. It's hard to realize City TV has been on the air for almost 4 years now. But when I look back to see what I had done on past On the Agenda programs, I was a little surprised that I had not talked previously about West Pines. Of course, our Parks and Recreation Department has had some features on West Pines. We've done a couple of specials, actually. But I haven't had the opportunity before to sit down for us to talk about this, so I'm delighted to have you and Mike here in the studio today. And what I would like to just point out, of course, some of our viewers are avid golfers, and I'm sure they're interested in hearing from Mike about some things and from you going on right now with springtime. A lot of our viewers, though, are not golfers, and their interest may be more in how's the golf course operating given all the bad weather and the bad economy, and more interested in what's the stability of West Pines and what may lay ahead for that course. But, March the 1st, the mayor and city council, they adopted a resolution, and I'll refer to that resolution probably a couple of times during the course of our program. But the bottom line of that resolution was saying that they wanted to reaffirm the city's relationship with HMS Golf, because we think that that's been a great relationship over the past several years, and it verified the city's commitment to go forward with that relationship. Later in the program, I'll be talking with Mike to get some information on him on what's going on a day-to-day basis. I want to focus with you, Jim, on kind of the relationship that HMS and the city has. But before you and I start talking, I want to give our viewers a little history lesson, because I want to go back actually more than 15 years, because that's when the city first decided that the city ownership of West Pines would be a good idea. And the mayor and city council at that time set about trying to see if we could acquire West Pines. We actually got a lease on the property, but there was an agreement between another party and the owners of the land that went for about another 10 years. And the amount of money that they wanted for us to buy out the lease was far more than we knew we could afford. We had the idea to kind of take the course, and rather than having the clubhouse over near the high school, was to move the clubhouse over kind of behind what now is Sam's and Walmart, and we wanted to have about a 100-room hotel with a conference facility about the size of what we've got in downtown Douglasville at this time. But when we couldn't reach an agreement with the individuals who had the lease, our message back to them was something like this: City of Douglasville is going to be here for a long time. You got 10 more years on your lease. We'll just wait 10 years, and then you won't be due anything for our taking the property or buying the property. And that's what we did. And so about fast forward for a decade, and we had 3 factors coming into play at that point. Number one was the lease was about over, so the owners of the land were looking at what can we do now with this property. Second, the city government and the county government were working on plans for a special purpose local option sales tax, a SPLOSH. And third, when we went around and talked with people in the community, the top priority that we were hearing in Parks and Recreation was for the city to acquire that property and to keep it as a golf course. And so that's what happened. As you know, the referendum was approved October of 2002. One of those projects was for the city to buy West Pines. We actually had in the SPLOSH program $7.5 million to buy the land, and we did. We were able to buy the property for $5.3 million, and so at long last, we owned the golf course property. Now, not many people were using the golf course at that time. It was in pretty bad shape, but we didn't want to just close the course down and not have people having the opportunity to play at West Pines. So our Parks and Recreation Department, we hired some of the employees of the old West Pines course. Course was in bad shape, but we did operate it for a few months. And simultaneously with that, of course, we were working on how we moved down the road long term. I had contact with people who know a lot more about golf and golf courses than I do. But I put together a fairly thick request for proposals. You know, it was fairly thick.
I remember that one.
And, you know, we had interest in coast to coast. I don't know how many calls that I fielded, but we sent out a large number of these requests for proposals. Actually, at one point, had a conference call with more than 30 firms on that conference call so we could give people the same information and answer questions. You were among those, I'm sure. And so that's how we proceeded. And I appreciate your patience while I've done a lot of talking, but I know you got the proposal. Tell me your initial feeling when you realized that Douglasville was saying, here's an opportunity for a firm to come in and actually reconstruct a golf course and then manage the course.
You sound like a history major. And with a good memory on top of that. It's been a while back, but we had felt like looking at the golf market that, you know, the cost of golf was going up everywhere we turned. Cost of construction was going up. The consumers a lot of the golf market was gradually getting priced out of the market because we've been in the business. I'd been in the business for a long time, and we started out building high quality daily fee courses and pricing them at $30, $35. And by the time we started West Pines, those prices were up at $70, $65, $70, $75 for the same kind of golf course. So we were looking for opportunities to provide high quality golf at a lower cost. Right. We had done one other similar deal, but the problem was finding property to do those kind of projects because the land cost, if you had to buy land, drove the price of that facility up. So when we learned of the opportunity in Douglasville, the city already had the property. What you were looking to do and what we were looking to do really matched up perfectly, really, because what we were really have always tried to do is really bring a very high level of quality, but make it affordable enough so that the juniors and the women and the senior citizens and the people that really don't have the funds to spend on a high priced golf course could have the same experience at an affordable price. And that's really where we started, and the outcome has just been terrific.
Right. You know, when the deadline for people to submit proposals, and I think we wanted 5 or 6 copies of the proposals, and your proposal, like the others, were pretty thick documents because we asked for a lot of information. I think I had about 3 big boxes, but from the time we opened those, it took us several days to go through and decide who we wanted to have further contact with and who we would just make contacts that appreciate the proposal, but we're not interested in talking with you. I imagine as somebody who'd worked hard on the proposal, I thought the other day, it was kind of like when I was in college. Once you took those final exams and you're waiting for your grade to be posted, those are pretty tense times. Do you remember how you spending that about 10 days before we finally came back and said, Mr. Haslam, we want to talk with you further?
Yeah, I do remember that actually, and it was we were I don't know, we're reasonably confident people in what we do. And we also knew that our proposal was different than most of what the competition was doing. We had felt like, looking at the property, that just a simple renovation of that property based on the layout that was existing was not going to get the job done. We would still be left with not the quality of the project that we wanted. So I think our proposal, it may have been the only one that proposed that we really go back to square one and almost start over.
Right.
And build a new golf course, reroute it, and then have something at the end of the day that would last and be modern and have the design that we needed. So I think our proposal was very different, and we hoped and that the city would recognize that as a different model than what some of the competitors were doing, and would be better suited to what your needs were. So we waited, and it's always tense, but we felt like we had the best proposal.
Right. Well, you had a great team that you put together. Tell us a little bit about your team.
Well, we had Bill Bergen, first of all, who's a local architect, and we had worked with Bill on 3 or 4 different projects. He's a great business guy. He understands not just the design, but he understands the business and what we're trying to accomplish. So we were able to work with him on getting the course properly designed. He spent a lot of free hours too, trying to get it to the point where we had a good proposal and we knew we could do what we wanted to do. So he was on the team from the very beginning, and he was focused on achieving the ultimate goal that we were looking for. We also had a construction company that came in as a partner, which really also helped us get the deal done, because you couldn't afford to really do the project at a retail price basis and hit the construction numbers we were talking about. So we had about as good a team as you could hope to assemble, and we sort of guided it along, but we had great support from those 2 other principals.
Right. And I know City Council, of course, eventually voted for HMS Golf to be our partner in this, and I can tell you that most of us, we thought that your proposal was really head and shoulders above any of the others we received. The attorneys, of course, got involved, and we did finally get the lease agreement, a 30-year lease agreement, signed on January 6, 2005, which was a few weeks later than I know you were hopeful it would get done, and so you were a little later getting started with construction than you thought. At some point during 2005, we closed the old West Pines course so that y'all could actually start moving dirt. Some of the equipment we transferred to Parks and Recreation Department. Some we sold. A lot of it just is scrap. But from the time that you started the design until we got ready to open, there were, of course, a number of things that took place, including some problems we had to deal with. What are the key things etched in your memory from calendar 2005?
Well, I'll try to forget about all those problems, but there were some. I think the probably, from looking back on it at the time, the most significant was really just getting the deal inked. Not only get it signed, and then we had to get the bond issued and get the bond subscribed. I remember sitting in lots of meetings where we were touch and go whether we thought we could really start and complete the project in that calendar year, because we were I think we started 60, 75 days later than what we originally had hoped to do. But we all decided to pull the trigger and start, and we actually built that golf course and opened it, and we opened it at the end of December the same year. So we had some problems along the way. We had a flood halfway through the summer that washed out bridges and bunkers, and that set us back a few weeks. We had, if you remember that gas line, we didn't really realize what we were dealing with that gas line that we had to go across, which I don't remember how long that delayed us, but without the city stepping in and helping us with that gas line, we'd probably still be here trying to build that golf course. But it was a good project, and I think it set the tone. What we really found early on is we really enjoyed dealing with Douglasville. They've been at every turn. They've worked with us as partners. If there was a problem, we worked together to solve it. And that's how partnerships work. It's been a good partnership.
Right, I agree with that. And a couple of my memories, other than those you're talking about, we had a ceremonial, groundbreaking, big crowd came out for that. Everybody was excited. And then we were all wondering, okay, can we actually get this thing open before the end of calendar '05. I think maybe we beat the deadline maybe 5 or 6 days.
Right, which was in the bond issue. We really had to make that deadline, so it was touch and go.
And so we did get the course ready to start play in the last few days of December of '05, and of course Mike Schlueter has been with us from the beginning since the course opened. I'll be talking with him later in this program. But just give us a brief description from HMS as the management company of how West Pine operates.
Well, it's we keep Mike Schlueter, I've known Mike since my early days in the golf business. We were golf professionals together back in the early days, so I've known Mike forever, basically. He's a quality guy. He's a consummate professional, golf professional. He understands the game. He understands the business, and he has made our life a lot easier down there. He's put together a team. You know how the businesses work is, particularly in the golf industry, it's a team effort, and he has got a group of people along with him that really manage that facility. I think the customers love it there. They're well treated. The conditions are always good. I mean, he keeps it clean. He just does a great job. Makes our life easy.
Right. Now, the first couple of years we were kind of growing pains and everything, and finally reached the point, I think, in 2006, got to that magic number of 30,000 rounds. 2007 moved up to more than 33,000 rounds, but things changed. What do you think were the major reasons for what we've experienced since then?
Well, it wasn't the quality of the operation that changed. We actually have gotten better at it as we've gone along. But if you look back on the history of it, I look at it and say, well, you're in a building period, and then you look and see what happened. But everything really was rocking on pretty good till the last, I guess it was the late summer of '08. You had the economy. When the economy began to hit the skids a little bit, you start to have people worrying about jobs and depression and recession. And being in the golf's a recreation industry, and when people begin to feel a little bit threatened financially, then one of the first things they cut back on is spending on recreation. So we had that in the latter part of '08, which set us back. September, October, November, December, we saw a significant loss of business due primarily to that. Early in '09, things began to kind of stabilize. We got back on more of a normal pace, and we really went through most of '09 in pretty good shape. And then again, we hit late summer. We hit September in '09, and then we had a flood, and we had the just, I guess, record rainfalls. Particularly Douglasville, I think, got hit harder than anywhere else around Atlanta. Even the interstate was closed, but that hit us in September. It washed out roads and bridges, and then we had followed that up with another rainy October. Then we followed that up with kind of a normal November, and then December again was just rained out. So we had a combination of the economy and just really, really bad luck on the weather.
Right. All the rain that we've had, I guess, in the last year plus, but prior to that time, of course, we even had the governor calling on people to pray that we'd have rain, because you went through the drought a couple of years ago. Even as the economy was drying up, the grass was drying up because of no rain. In fact, I know you supplied me with information on what y'all considered, quote, good weather days. Tell us about good weather days or lack of good weather days in what's happened over the last 3 or 4 years.
We've been operating in Atlanta for 16, 17 years. We track, in our business, we track weather days because they're really important for our business to track, because unless we track that, we really don't know how good our business really is. So we started and I'll go back to '06, which is what you're talking about. We had 287 good weather days, the way we classify days. Then in 2007, we had 268, which is not a significant drop-off, a small drop-off, and then it dropped off in '08, another 20 down to 244. So we're now 43 days worse in '08 than we were in '06. And then in '09, it just dropped off the chart. So we had 206 good weather days. Right. And most of those bad weather days happened from September till the end of the year. and actually it's continued into 10. I mean,
Right.
January and February we've had 60 bad days already in those 2 months, through today anyway, 60 bad days. So it's just been a bad. My grandmother told me not to make excuses, and I don't normally talk about the weather, but this has really been an unusual stretch of poor days for us.
Yeah, and it certainly we understand that, and hopefully this spring will be a great spring. Summer will be a wonderful time, and we'll have a lot of golfers at West Pines and a lot of quote good weather days. Well, Jim, we have more to talk about, but the clock is ticking, and I do want to be sure to give Mike Schlueter sufficient time to talk about current activities at the West Pines Golf Club. So to our viewers, let me note that next month's on the agenda, which will air for the first time early May 2010, Jim Haslam and I will continue our interview. Jim, I want to talk with you about some of the honors that West Pines has received, that HMS Golf has received. We'll also want to talk about some of the financial problems that you've had to face, including the payments that you make to the city under the lease. So to our viewers, hope you will join us next time as Jim Haslam and I continue our conversation. And stay tuned if you would, because I'll be talking with Mike Schlueter about what's going on at West Pines at the present time.
After a car accident, Linda Davis needed CPR. Bill Hamilton needed temporary shelter when a fire destroyed his home. During an operation, Haley Reynolds needed a blood transfusion.
Excuse me, may I go into that room, please?
Next year, revenue growth again will be a focus.
Thank you for giving me blood.
Thank you for giving me shelter.
Thank you for saving my life.
Support the Red Cross and change a life, starting with your own.
Welcome back to On the Agenda. My final guest today will be Mike Schlueter, who manages the West Pines Golf Club. But before I start talking with Mike, I want to cover just a few figures. Early in the program, I noted that we had purchased the West Pines property for $5.3 million, and that was using 2002 splosh funds. The reconstruction of West Pines basically was financed through loan proceeds, $4,325,000, and to that we used about $525,000 in splosh funds, and HMS Golf, part of the proposal that they gave us that Jim Haslam mentioned earlier in the program actually included $1 million from HMS, which was one of the unique parts of their proposal, one of the reasons we chose them. Later, the city spent about $720,000 in splosh funds for the new entry road that comes off of Rose Avenue, as well as we built a restroom facility on the back side of this 18-hole course. Now, the annual debt payment is $317,165, and when you take that $19,000 per month, I think $19,084 or $82 a month from HMS, that covers $228,984 of the annual debt payment that we have to make. And as I say, it'll eventually be, the loan will be paid off by HMS's payments. Mike Schlueter, welcome to On the Agenda. I appreciate you being here today, and we want to talk about what's going on at West Pines day-to-day basis, so I'll turn it over to you.
Well, Bill, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm very pleased and proud to represent West Pines and also the city of Douglasville. On a day-to-day basis, our golf course has been improving steadily. The first 3 years we were open, we had to kind of deal with a drought situation, and it made it very difficult to grow the golf course in like we would like to have had it. The early part of '09, we had good rains, and the rains allowed us to make terrific improvements to the golf course as far as growing in fairways and so forth. As an example, the first 3 years we were operating, we mowed our fairways 1 time a year. This past year in '09, we began mowing our fairways as much as 2 times a week. So with that in mind, the condition of our golf course improved significantly. We've always had terrific greens. We've got Crenshaw bent grass greens that are probably well known in this area as being the best in the area, and we're very proud of those. The thing that I like most about our facility is that we are kind of a traditional old style golf course. It's what's known in the industry as a core golf course, adjoining fairways, close proximities of greens and tees. Those features allow for walking, allow for a better pace of play, and it makes our golf course available to a lot more people than a lot of other type of golf courses do. Another feature is that it's a terrific piece of land, and in particular for our senior golfers, they really like the fact that we are in most cases driving our carts on the fairways even after rains. A lot of other golf courses are quite often built in lower areas, and they stay continuously wet. West Pines, within a day or two of a heavy rain, we're back on the fairways, and that's a real plus.
Right. Mike, tell us about green fees and operating hours and so forth.
Our operating hours open 7 days a week. This past year we actually operated all 365 days of the year. We're open pretty much from first thing in the morning, weekdays 8 o'clock in the morning, weekends as early as 6:30. We close the golf shop about an hour or so before dark. Our driving range and our golf facility is actually open until dark. Our rates are very affordable. Our highest rate is $39 on weekends. Our weekday rate is $31. Our Friday rate is $35. We do offer senior rates of $27 Monday through Friday and after 12 o'clock on weekends. And we have other rates depending upon time of day that are reduced later in the afternoon. We do have junior rates as well that are $10 during the week, $15 on weekends. So it's an efficient operation that allows us to be affordable to everybody. As Jim said, we do make a profit, and we can do it on low price greens fees, which I think is very popular with our clientele.
Right. And with the September flooding, I know you sustained a lot of damage, though not as much as some of the other golf courses. And I think with the spring here now, the golf course is going to be looking great, and we just hope a number of people are going to be coming to play golf, and they see you here on City TV. They can see you at West Pines and get a tee time, and we hope a lot of them will do that. As we conclude our time with you this morning, tell us any other comments that you want to make, and I want to say how much we appreciate the opportunity of working with you. You've always been good to work with the city. Special events that we've had, even let us use part of the course on Independence Day so that the fireworks display can go up, and people can park over at the mall and up at the shopping centers, Sam, Walmarts, and around, and get a good view. And that's because we're shooting off the high ground there in West Pines. And I know personally you serve on our Keep Douglasville Beautiful board, and we appreciate your service on that. So give you an opportunity for the last word.
Well, I just simply would like to tell everyone, you have a really fine facility here in Douglasville. Take advantage of it. We try and offer a lot of programs for everybody. We've got adult learn to play golf programs in April and May. We've got junior golf camps in June and July, and we do run a good tournament program for our clientele as well. So if everyone we all want this place to be profitable, and one way that we can make it profitable is by having everybody utilize it as much as they can. So we're proud of our facility, and we invite you out to come play, and we hope you will.
Great. Good to have you with
Thank
me
you,
today. And to our viewers, thank you for being with us for this episode of On the Agenda. Next month, I'll be visiting with Douglas County School Superintendent Don Rumillard, who, of course, is retiring as school superintendent at the end of May. Thank you for being with us today. This is Bill Osborne signing off on the agenda.